First, I hope you can't hear the fan. It is 80 degrees in here, and it's the only way I can kind of cool down. Also, it's going to seem like I've been on a pattern where I'm fussing about stuff all the time, but that's not really my fault because stuff comes up and I got to talk about it. In this case, I'm going to talk about why I hate getting digital bills. In other words, email. I hate getting my bills from anything by email. Now, if I didn't sign up for it, but they have my email because, you know, when you have to sign into things, you usually have to give them a username and a password, but sometimes you have to give them an email address and then create a password, fine. But as long as I get the paper, which I really want, then I'm good. Now, some folks are going to say, yeah, it's all you older people who want paper bills. I'm going to tell you why, because you know I got a story. So here's the deal. Last year, I started getting these phone calls from the company that monitors my alarm system. It used to be Time Warner. When I first moved into this house, we got an alarm system because I was working out of town and my ex at the time was working in town, but you know, she was spending more time in the house than I was since I was driving long distances back and forth. So we get an alarm system. And it was going really good for way over a decade. And then they sold their service to someone else. I think it was Spectrum at the time. And Spectrum decided they did not want to be in the alarm system, so they gave it to someone else. Now here's the thing. I didn't know for maybe 3 years or so that they had given it to someone else. So I was still getting this bill every month, but I was getting it from Spectrum. And then suddenly I was getting it from this new company. And it's not a new company. They've been around a good long time. I'm just not going to say their name because I just rather not say the name of the company. But I'll just say, like I said, they're kind of known and they're associated with banks. There you go. So anyway, last year I started getting these calls. And I didn't know why I was getting a call from the company. And I would pick it up and I'd say, hello, hello, hello. And then I'd get a click. Finally, at some point, I got somebody. And it's an Asian woman. I know that because I know the accent. I did live in Japan for a while. And really, do you have to live in Japan to understand the accent? Because you know a lot of companies in the United States are outsourcing this kind of thing. So I get this lady on the phone and she's telling me that I'm behind on payments. I said, well, no, I've been making payments all along. And she said, well, you're not really making payments. I mean, sometimes you're showing a payment, sometimes you're not, but you're not paying enough. I said, well, yeah, I am, because I'm paying what I should have been paying. Now, here's the problem. I hadn't been paying attention to the fact that I hadn't been getting the paper bills from them anymore. So I was just paying the same amount that I had always paid. It turns out that that amount had gone up, and I didn't know that. And I hadn't been getting the paper. So I said to the lady, well, you know, I haven't gotten a paper bill in a long time. She says, well, that's because we're sending it to you by email. I said, what email? I don't remember ever giving you guys an email. I mean, when I was with Time Warner and then it switched over to Spectrum, I didn't know there was anything about that. She says, oh, yes, we had an email address online, I said, you know, in our system. I said, okay, what email address did you have? And she said, Mitch@gmail.com. And I said, that's not my email. I've never had an email that says Mitch@gmail.com. That's not me. I don't know who you may have talked to, but that's not my email address. So we go through this thing for about 25 minutes because she's having trouble understanding what I'm saying because English isn't her first language. I'm having trouble understanding her, not only because she's not really proficient in English, but she's talking really low. And a couple of times I had to say, I'm sorry, I can't hear you. I need you to speak louder. And that was a mess. But eventually we get pretty close to the end. We get some stuff set up. And she says, okay, we're going to send it to your email address. I say, okay, what email address are you going to send it to? We're going to send it to Mitch@gmail.com. That's not my email address. So I give her an email address. And I said, okay, can we do a test? Can you send me an email and let me look at it? Now, just to get this out of the way, the reason I went this way, and this was a stupid reason on my part, was because If I decided I wanted paper, they were going to charge me $4.99 just to get a paper bill. A lot of companies have been going that route. I don't really care about that, but I was irked. And so at this point here, I'm thinking, wait, geez, they've already raised the rate. Let's see what I can do about this. That $4.99, I don't need to pay that, so let's do this thing. So she sends me an email. I get the email. So I said, okay, fine, this should work. So the first month, I get an electronic bill by email. Okay, this may work out. Then I'm not getting emails anymore. Now, I'm not paying attention to this because I pay attention to when paper. I get paper bills with almost everything. So I hadn't paid attention to the fact that I hadn't gotten it, but I had been putting something up there. And here's the thing. When we were talking about what the rate was going to be, they sent me an email telling me what my rate was going to be. $40.90. So that's what I thought my monthly bill was going to be. So there were times, a lot of times where I paid a little bit more than that. You know, $40.90. I'll pay $45. I'll pay $47. Every once in a while I paid $40. But still, I figure, okay, I've got this leeway because most of the time I'm paying a little bit more. Then yesterday, the phone calls start again. And this is a Sunday, but maybe, you know, maybe they work on Sundays. Or I do know that if they're actually in Japan, it's actually Monday for them at a time where it's still Sunday here. Just go with it. So anyhow, the first 3 times I picked up the phone. Hello, hello, hello. You know, just this goes back to the Three Stooges time. If you don't know about the Three Stooges, you just miss out. Anyway, I finally get this woman, and she's another low-talking, very soft, like I said, Asian. I'm assuming Japanese, but Asian. And it was hard to hear her for a while. And so she says, yes, we show you in arrears about $51. I said, how the devil am I in arrears? I've been paying a bill every single month. And I look through my files and I tell her every single month that I'm paying. And she says, oh, we see that you've been making a payment. You're just not paying enough. And I said, wait, but I have an email that your company sent me. And I pulled up the email and I read it to her. And it says that I owe $40.90 every month. That's what I owe. And she says, oh, well, that's not how we see it. I said, well, that's what I have. She said, well, I'm going to have you talk to customer service, which is what I thought she was. Okay, fine. So now she transferred me to someone else. And then his phone is low, but he's at least, I don't know if he's American, but his English was a lot better. So I said to him, 1, I still have some difficulty hearing you. 2, this lady transferred me to you because she said that I'm not paying the amount I'm supposed to be paying, but I did get an email way back when we had this problem, and it said $40.90. So he goes looking through his stuff, and he says, oh, I see the $40.90 here. They didn't explain anything else to you, did they? I said, no, and I've got the email. He says, yeah, you know, there's extra fees on that. So there's a fee of, and he gives me some number. I think it was $3.99 or $4.99. And then there's taxes. I said, so in other words, y'all sent me something telling me it's $40.90 a month, and you didn't tell me how much it actually was going to be? He said, well, they should have told you that. And I said, well, they should have sent me that. So now we're having this particular conversation. And I said, by the way, your email is terrible because I'm not getting any of the bills. So he looks it up on his system. He says, well, we've been sending the bills out to you at mitch@gmail.com. I said, oh my God, I told these folks last time, that's not my email address. I've never had that email address. I don't know if anyone has that email address. And no, I'm not going to test it, and y'all probably shouldn't either, but you know, whatever. So we go through all this stuff, and they try to set everything up, and now he says he has it. And he says, oh, I find another email address on here. So he gives me another email address. I said, well, yeah, that's my email address, but I don't want getting the bill anymore. I don't want to get the bill that way. I want the paper. This was going to cost $4.99. I said, well, duh. I kind of figured that's what it was going to be, but I can't trust y'all anymore because it wasn't fixed the first time, and I need to know what the bill is. I need to see how much the amount is so that I make sure I'm paying the right amount. So then he says he's going to set it up. I said, okay, now I got to ask you a question. I've been paying what I have on this thing. Now I've got this balance I got this balance that I owe because I haven't been paying enough, but that shouldn't be my fault because I have this email telling me what this is. And I think there should be some kind of discount on that, make some kind of arrangement. Now, I'm thinking, you're telling me I owe you $51, knock off half of that, and then maybe I can make this payment. What he does is he says, well, I'm looking at this, and you've been with the company for a long time, which isn't necessarily true, but I have had the alarm system for 22 years. And he says, we're going to set it up so that for the next 12 months, your bill is going to be $30.80. Well, I shut up because I'm thinking, wait, we can do that? I'm thinking this. I said, okay, you know what? I can live with $30.80. So anyhow, he's doing some stuff, whatever. And then he says, okay, do you want to make payment today? I said, no. I said, I budget everything. I pay all my bills on the first of the month, unless it's a Sunday, and then I pay it, that following Monday. But I pay all my bills on the first of the month. I had already budgeted for this other one. I had actually overpaid it a little bit, thinking about what I thought my balance was. So I will be catching everything up come July. But I need to get the paper bill so I know how much y'all think that I need to pay you, because I know my payment's going to be on there. He says, okay, we can go that route, but let me verify your email address. And then he says, Mitch@gmail.com. I said, no. He says, I'm sorry, it's the other one. Like, I got nothing. How do you do that? How does a customer service with a big name company keep messing this up? And like I said, early on when I'm speaking to the Asian lady, maybe there's a problem with communications because of the language, but this guy was speaking just fine. But his phone was also dim, which I'm also thinking, wait, y'all are this big company. You do a lot of good stuff. This is the quality of the phones they've given you? That's a shame. That's why I don't like getting bills by email, because they just don't always get it right. I don't want to take any chances. At least when I get paper, I always get paper. And he said, well, you can look at your account online. I said, I don't have an account online. I never created an account online for your company because I didn't want to go that route, which is rare. A lot of times I'll go ahead and set up a company, but I was irked with these people last year when we were having this conversation. So I decided I'm not setting up anything with them because I just don't trust them. Anyway, supposedly it's all set. We will find out. What's today? Is this Monday? I'm so confused. I think it's Monday. So I'm making an assumption, which is a bad thing, but I'm making an assumption that I will get a bill by next Monday, because I just don't think I'm going to get a bill sometime this week. Anyway, I'd like to know your thoughts. I'm betting that more younger people are going to say they like getting their bills by email because they hate having to deal with paper. But this is why I like dealing with paper, because I know what I'm looking at. It might seem like one of those kind of things you say, oh, but you're wasting paper, you're wasting resources, the environment, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, and then these people are calling me saying I'm not paying them enough, and we need to rectify that. Anyway, that's what I have. Let me know how it works out for you, and I'll try not to fuss with the next video, but I make no promises. Y'all take care.